Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Harry Van Wy with the Van Wy Tax Service right on Main Street in Lebanon. And it's February, which means we're right in the middle of tax season.
That we are, Gary.
So it's pretty busy, huh?
Yes, it is.
So we want to talk a little bit about what people need to know. If they haven't gotten their taxes together yet, there's still time for them to come and see you.
Absolutely.
And get them prepared.
We're still early.
Yeah, and are there certain things that people need to know that are different this year than the past years?
There's a number of different things, different provisions, different ways to handle things, but primarily what folks need to know to get their tax returns together is, of course, make sure that they have all of their W-2 forms. If they're having trouble getting a W-2 form, they really need to track that down, because the IRS has really gotten quite sophisticated now with forcing us all to e-file, and if things are omitted, the IRS is pretty much on it, and they know that. So we want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row and all the documents that we should have. W-2 forms for the reporting of the income, and mortgage interest statement for folks that itemize deductions. They'll get a what's called a Form 1098 that reports the interest they paid on their home loan. Okay. And typically that form may also show their real estate tax, but they want to check on that and make sure if the taxes aren't paid out of their escrow account, then of course it won't be on that home loan statement. They'll need to gather that information, themselves.
Right. Now, we know with the health insurance law, with the Affordable Care Act, there's some stuff with credits and stuff of that nature. Is that in effect for this year, or is that not in effect yet?
I will see that on my end next year when I do the 2014 tax returns, because that is in effect now in the year that we're in now. Of course, next year I'll be doing those tax returns.
Okay.
But,
so that's not something they need to worry about for the 2013 yet?
No, not on this return, these returns we're doing now. But they need to, everybody needs to make sure they have health insurance going forward, because if they don't, there's going to be penalties that will be in play on that tax return for next year.
Right, okay. So that's something to consider for 2014.
Absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. So if somebody is like a if they're in business for themselves, they have different kinds of forms that they need as well, right? Mm-hmm. And you can handle that for them?
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll need to file, depends on their entity. If they're sole proprietorships, then they'll need to file a business Schedule C, and that will flow into their personal tax return. If they're incorporated, they'll need to either do an 1120S or 1120C corporate tax returns. And those dates are not April 15th for corporate returns. Those due dates are March 15th.
Oh,
so you need to be aware of
Sooner.
that if you are an incorporated business, you need to have that return finished by March 15th, or if not finished, an extension filed.
Right. And do you want to say April 15th is the deadline this year?
April 15th is the deadline for individual returns this year, yeah.
Okay. Let's get started, too, with telling a little bit about yourself, because I know you've been here in Lebanon for how many years now?
This is my 6th year here now on Main Street.
On Main Street with Van Wy Tax Services. Mm-hmm. And you've been in accounting for how long?
Golly, I've been doing this for about 30 years now. Prior to this, I was in business for 25 years down in Bradenton, Florida, on the West Coast in Tampa Bay area.
Right.
And sold my practice down there and moved here to beautiful Central Kentucky, and
that's right.
Started up all over again.
Yeah, I bet this winter some of the weather down in Tampa has kind of been alluring now.
And it is. I still have some clients down there. I go down and gather their tax info. Matter of fact, in a couple of weeks I'll be heading down there, and so it'll be nice to be down there in the sunshine for a few days.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. What is the phone number for them to call to schedule an appointment here?
Phone number here at my office is 270, don't forget that 270. Right. 692-5555.
That's right. And
all fives.
You do need to dial all 10 digits now.
Yes.
And if you're in Marion County, you can't dial the 1 or you won't get through.
Right.
Either 1270. So just be careful what you're dialing there.
Absolutely.
And if you're outside, you do take clients from Springfield, Washington County, Nelson County as well.
Certainly do.
Can give a call there too. Now you're talking about, you had a list there of some of the different credits that people can possibly get this year.
Yes, I was going to touch base with you here on some of the things that can be done, or some things that have already transpired, and just make sure that we get credit for them on our tax return. Mm-hmm. The IRA contributions that people can put, the money that people can put in their IRAs has been increased from $5,000 to $5,500 now. Okay. So you can put that much money away into your individual retirement account, and if it's a conventional IRA, write that off your taxes. It's a deduction for you. And if you're over 50 years old, you can put an extra $1,000 in there.
Okay.
6,500 instead of 5,500.
Okay, fantastic. People are already calling, so make sure you do make that call to get your appointment. What else we got there?
The other thing I want to touch base is there's a nice credit for education. Folks that are in college, or they have their children that are in college, is a thing called the American Opportunities Credit. And that is a tax credit, which is better than a deduction, because tax credits actually, dollar for dollar, reduce tax. And this American Opportunities Credit it's a credit for tuition that one pays. The credit is equal to 100% of the first $2,000 in tuition, 25% of the next $2,000 so that would equal another $500. So the maximum credit is the $2,000 plus the $500, $2,500, right off your tax bill.
That's super.
That's a terrific credit. That is available to students, full-time college students, that in their first 4 years.
Okay, that's fantastic.
After that, yeah, it really is a nice credit. And then after that, that education credit changes, and it becomes what they call the lifetime learning credit. And that is a credit of 20% of the tuition, maximum of $10,000 in tuition. So the credit is a maximum of $2,000. So going forward, like someone that's going to college to obtain their master's degree, for example, they've already got their first 4 years, they've got their bachelor's degree, they don't qualify for that first 4-year American Opportunity Credit, but they would qualify for that lifetime learning credit.
Okay.
So there's some really nice education credits out there.
Yeah, that's great. And again, all these different things, Harry will look over for you or talk with you when you do an interview. Because when people come, you actually do an interview with them?
I do. I sit down with everybody that comes in here, and we go over their things. I ask questions. A lot of times there's things they omit, forget about, or don't even know about.
Yeah.
So we uncover that.
Yeah, and he'll help you try and get as much money back or pay as little as possible. Either way,
right.
Whichever works best for you.
That's exactly right. We don't like to leave any money on the table.
Exactly.
We like it in your pocket.
What is one of the most popular things that you find people forget about and that you're able to help them with each year?
A lot of folks, it's a little bitty deduction, but you know, I shouldn't say little bitty. It's a small deduction, but it all adds up. They don't realize that they can take a deduction for the items that they have given to charity, such as Goodwill Industries, the Caring Closet, things like old clothing, household goods, furniture, things of that nature. You can take a deduction for that.
Okay, but you need a credit, or you need a receipt.
Yep, you need a receipt for the items that you gave from the place that you gave them.
But if you can possibly save yourself some money
Yeah,
there.
you certainly can.
Okay. Any other credits we need to
There was
touch
a
on?
couple other things I thought I might touch with. Again, goes back to students. This is another thing that is often forgotten, is student loan interest. Perhaps there's a student loan that has been going on for quite some time, and you might forget about that. That student loan interest is deductible as well. Okay. That is a deduction right on the front of the 1040, so one doesn't need to itemize deductions. In other words, you don't need to do the Schedule A itemized deductions if you don't have home mortgage interest and property taxes and that type of thing. You can get a deduction for the student loan interest anyways.
Okay.
Okay.
Super.
And I was going to touch base here on the earned income credit. That's quite an expandable credit, a credit that's been quite expanded here this past year.
Okay.
Folks can get this refundable tax credit. And it's a varying amount. It depends on the filing status, the amount of income, and the amount of dependents, children that you have. And that ranges, it is based on earned income, and folks with earned income all the way up to $51,000 can get this earned income credit. And the earned income credit, the maximum amount of it is $6,044. It can range anywhere from $1 to $6,044, like I said, depending on income and number of in your family, number of dependents.
Okay, and when it's a credit, that means it's dollar for dollar?
It's refundable, right. This earned income credit is refundable. So it's better than a tax reduction credit. It's the best kind. If your tax is already zero, earned income credit is refundable anyways.
Okay, so you can be making some money.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Again, I've been talking with Harry Van Wy with Van Wy Tax Services. One more time, the phone number.
Phone number here is 270-692-5555.
And call and get set up for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate you coming in very much so.
This has been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.